Hello and welcome to my tutorial on how to make B infinite login by Banshee. One thing I'll state right off the bat is there's a lot of drums in this song as it's a vapor trap song. I'm not going to go in on how to program the drums. There are lots of tutorials on YouTube about how to program drums. For me, it would take a lot of time and a lot of digging into sample libraries to get drums, and just not going to do that. But I will explain how to use samples to build the rest of the song. So the first one that we're going to start with is the main sample, which is Rihanna, Diamonds. And let me find the two samples that we're going to use. The first one is this little blip right here. So we are going to use that and pitch it down, and I'll show you later how we use that. The second is this main vocal loop. So we are going to pitch that up and use that throughout the song. The second thing that you'll hear are these little sounds from Windows Longhorn, which was a beta for, it was either XP or 7, I can't remember. But we are going to use these sounds here. I'll play that again. And then use this sound over here. So those are the two sounds that we're going to use from Windows Longhorn. The third sample is the inside the Deku tree from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And we're just going to use the beginning of it. So that's all that we're going to use. And that's just the beginning few seconds of the Banshee song. The last is this cave dungeon from Super Mario 64. This will be at the end, and we're just going to use the beginning of this song. So that'll be at the end of the song. So that's all the samples that are in this song, and I'll explain how to use them as we go throughout the song. One other sample that I forgot to mention is the startup sound from Windows 98. And we'll use that quite a bit. So first, starting with the Legend of Zelda, we are going to pitch that down one semitone or one half step, and then slow it down to 94% of the original tempo. And then the samples start after that. So what we're going to start with is this Windows Longhorn sample. And there are two different samples that I mentioned earlier. I've got them split out on separate tracks here. So this first Windows Longhorn, we're going to speed it up to 1.14 or 14% faster than the original tempo. We're also going to transpose it up 8 half steps or semitones. And let me get a loop on that. So that's what that sounds like. Throughout this, we will modify the pitch of it, transposing it to different half steps or semitones. Let me just solo that here, and then we'll listen to how it changes. And then the second sample that comes in is this Windows 98 sample that I already played for you. So here's what they sound like together. So the second Windows Longhorn sound that I played earlier, we are going to keep the tempo the same as what it was, and then pitch it down one half step or semitone. And then this also changes throughout the song as far as how we pitch it up and down. and you'll hear that as we continue through the song. So next we're going to get into the Rihanna samples. Let me open up the blank Banshee track and then play what we've got so far along with it quietly in the background. So next are the Rihanna samples. Let's see here. So if you take this sample here, let me get some context for it. So I'm going to duplicate it and then move it over here and kind of open it up a little bit so you can hear in the song where we got this from. So it is the main vocal loop that we're using. So that's that main vocal loop that comes in later. What we did is we took the first little section of it and chopped it up and then pitched it down 3 half steps or semitones and then sped it up by 29%. So it creates a sound like this. The second sample right here, it sounds kind of weird by itself, but it works within context of the song. What I'll do is the same thing that I did for the other sample. Let me drag it over here and give it some context. So we're taking this word to as she changes notes throughout there. We're going to use that. We are going to first start with it down 13 half steps or semitones and then slow down to 65%. And what this does is as she changes notes, we're also going to change the transposing of it. So it will pitch down as the sample continues. So we start with 13 half steps down, then 14, and then 16 and 16. And what that sounds like in the context of the song is right there. So there's more of that as we continue. And then the main vocal loop comes in right here. So let me solo that. I'll show you what I did for this little bit here. So we transposed it up 4 half steps and then also sped it up by 29%. And then in the background, I've also got an EQ on it. I'm rolling off the low end and the high end so that we're focusing only on the vocal part of the track, which will be right here in the middle. So there's a little bit of chopping up here in the blank Banshee track. Let me play it by itself. I'm not quite sure exactly what the sample was and how it was chopped up, but it sounds Something like I put this down to 30-second notes, and it's down 10 half steps. So it's something like that. It's not exactly the same, but something to that effect. And then the last little bit here is the Super Mario Cave Dungeon. And this sample is just as it is, just transposed down 2 half steps and slowed down to 87%. But other than that, it's unmodified. So that is Be Infinite Login by Banshee, and that's how you make it.